Ladies and gentlemen, if you clicked on this video, I've got a very simple message for you. Every single one of you should try to be as strong as possible at the game of chess. And the reason for that is very simple. Absolutely every other person that you interact with will respect you much more. Every other person that you interact with will think that you are an intellectual, a sophisticated form of human being. Now, none of that is justified, but the game of chess is falsely associated with intelligence. And the lowest form of this intelligence or capability is 100 ELO, the lowest possible form of chess strength that a person can have. And in today's video, I will show you a chess game played between two individuals in the ELO range of 100. But one caveat. We all have to start somewhere. All of us have started chess at some point at a certain location on the rating scale. This is a new subscriber by the name of Joe. Everybody say hi, Joe. He didn't hear you because that's not the way the internet works. But Joe will definitely get a warm, big welcome on this channel. What we do on this channel, what we do in this playlist called How to Lose at Chess is we break games down. And the point is that we're not laughing at Joe or his opponent. We are looking at a mirror image reflection of ourselves. You see, chess has this way of exposing all of our flaws, of exposing our hubris, our arrogance, our lack of empathy for other people. We all need to look at the mirror and remember, get as strong as possible in chess because everybody will think more highly of you. Shout out to Joe for being brave enough to submit this game. Let's break it down. It is 187 versus 166. And Joe's opponent from Austria, named 16T, has like a James Bond name. The name is just James Bond. Here we go. Joe begins with e4. Already a very good move. We don't have to wait long to get the action banging here. 16T responds with pawn to f5. A very strong move. All right. Joe plays d3. That's fine. You know, he spent a little bit of time on that move. d3 is an okay move. This is called the Duras Gambit. I'm not sure that Black knew that. I think Black just was learning how to move the pawns. Joe plays d3. Nice and defensive. He could have taken on f5, and if he had taken on f5, the diagonal to the king would have been wide open, so you've got to be very careful already as Black. It's like very close to being checkmate. So Joe plays defensively. Black plays pawn takes, and is immediately lost. It took 3 moves. You know, chess is hard. But one thing you will learn as a beginner is how not to poop your pants within the first 10 moves. This is very, very important. I teach it in my book, and today's video is in fact sponsored by my book. It's back there, How to Win at Chess. It'll teach you everything to not get this type of position in the first 3 moves. The reason this is so bad is because now this check is completely lethal, and you should always look for checks because sometimes they're really good. Queen h5 just wins the game. Black goes here, Queen e5, Bishop c4, and there's checkmate on the horizon. Here's checkmate right away. But also there is g6, Queen e5, and you would simply pick up a rook. So you need to always be able to look for checks. That's why you don't want to open up your king early in the game. But Joe is a principled man, plays knight f3. Developing his knight like he knows he should. Knight f6 develops both knights. Knights before bishops. I love this by Mr. Joseph. What an absolute beast. Playing like a grandmaster, true to his name. And now Black, of course, should mirror image. Develop your knights first, but instead Black, very active, throws yet another pawn into the center of the board. This is simply a counting mistake. All beginners watching this can improve this one skill. Counting is the skill in chess when you count the amount of pieces that can capture on a square. Or a piece, right? Square or a piece. So this is 1, and there's 0 for Black. So that's why Black should have went d6 or this, gotten a piece to look at another piece. Another good way to improve at chess, think of your pieces as having eyeballs, vision, all right? This sees that, and this sees that. So it is not a good trade, but damn it, Joseph is a man of principle, and in the opening, we tell beginners not to make multiple moves with pieces that they've already gotten out, so he moves his bishop. He moves his bishop because he knows he's supposed to develop his pieces, all right? Unfortunately, what it does for Black is that it leaves Black with 2 center pawns, and now Black captures on e4. Now, every time a pawn moves in chess, or any piece, you got to think about what opens up, what things now see things they didn't see before. The queen has vision across the board. You could go take, knight takes, and threaten a fork. But instead of that, Sadly, Joe here falls for the common beginner mistake of having tunnel vision, and he takes the pawn that just landed on that square. Yet again, a counting mistake. Black has two things that can see that pawn. You only have one. And so after D takes E4, knight takes E4, Joe realizes, uh-oh, I just lost the knight. And that is very common. That is a beginner mistake that is quite avoidable, and hopefully does not happen again. He saw the pawn, he took it back, and he went, damn it, I lost my knight. But now he castles. And now, Black finds a really nice tactical idea here. Considering that Black just moved the knight, Black completely forgets that they have any other pieces, and they continue to move the knight forward, losing it in one move completely. That move hangs a knight, no questions asked. So this is one thing you should avoid as a beginner. You should avoid moving a piece and then thinking you have to move it again. That is literally not the law at all. I don't know why you all think that way. You have other pieces, and you got to stop violating principles. Knight C3 played. Now, this is a bad move because you can just be taken. Joe goes here though. I don't understand. It's standing on the same line as the queen. The knight can now take the bishop. Black here, because they are up a knight, because they took the knight, should trade pieces. They should trade the queen, they should trade the bishop, and then they gotta get the king to safety, because in chess, you need material and king safety, and you need to stop playing chess like it's Russian roulette. I mean, you're basically like spinning the chess pieces around, and maybe some of them will fall off the table. Black here plays a move that's so high level, I can't even begin to understand it. White moves the queen to attack the knight that could have been taken. Black plays bishop b4! Defending the knight from the queen taking it, but not from the pawn. The pawn can still absolutely take. And Joe, clutch as ever, does in fact find that move. And now that bishop is hanging as well. So Black moves the bishop all the way to the home square. Why? Why not literally any other square? Literally any other square was better. Why would you put the pieces all in the back rank? Now, in this position, my man Joe plays the powerful rook to d1. And I think his idea was to take the queen. He kind of forgot the queen could take him too. Friends, enemies, your queen can't attack a queen. That's not how that works. Because the queen could take you. You can't beat up yourself. I mean, I guess you can. Don't though, all right? Bishop d7. Powerful move. White is now totally winning. That's mostly because the knight can take the pawn and the king is still in the center. But Joe goes here. You know what? I don't hate this move. 40 seconds spent on this move. Maybe he was getting the delivery food at the front door. That move attacks that pawn. Now two things attack that pawn, and the rook pins the bishop to the queen. None of them know any of that. But yeah, I'm just telling you. Black goes here. I love that. Excellent. Excellent development. Now, if only the bishop was there. You know, if only this was the position, Black would be fine. I mean, Black would be completely lost, but for 100, Black is fine. Anyway, queen e3 moves out of the way to attack the pawn. The pawn is now defended, and now, rather than taking it, Joe attacks it yet again. He really wants to make sure he can win this pawn before he takes it. He's a meticulous guy. You know what they say? Measure twice, cut once, or something. I think that's what they say. In this position, 16T plays bishop d6, which he could have played here, but didn't, all right? But didn't. I shouldn't say he, by the way. I don't even know. All right, there's my... See, that's that subconscious, you know, 90%, 85% male audience. By the way, this channel is up to about 90-10. At the beginning of the chess boom, I had 99% male audience, which was wild. That is wild, you lunatics. And now it's like 89-11. Now it's like 90-10. So it's gotten 10x bigger. So rook b5. All right, rook b5. Powerful move. Here, attacks and threatens the pawn on b7, and Black plays the most logical move thus far, b6. Pushing the pawn forward, it is defended 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and look at Joe. Look at this positional move by Joe. Queen up to e4. The idea of this move is to put pressure on the knight that was just weakened with the pawn moving up. You see, Joe didn't want to attack the knight. The knight was defended very well, so he goes here and now here. This is excellent 187 elo chess. Excellent stuff. Black plays a6, attacking the rook. Rook goes back to d5, and now my man Joe plays bishop to g5. By the way, I think Black here thought he was castling. I did it again. Black thought that they were castling, but instead they moved the rook to f8. Or they just don't know about castling, but White did it, so they should do it too. Joe plays bishop to g5. Black plays bishop to e7. Strong move, defending yourself. It's, again, a completely lost position because black's completely stuck in the center. So the winning idea here for white is literally to rip open the position. And after knight e5, rook e5, you just... This is not a defendable position. You will take this, you will take this. It's over. But they don't know that because they don't have the patterns yet. They don't have it all. Bishop e7. Now Joe plays rook d1, which, by the way, is a top computer move. Rook d1. This is called a battery onto the bishop. If white were to take, they would get a bishop and a queen. They would get a bishop, and black would get both rooks. And you do the math. Queen and bishop is 12. 2 rooks is 10. Queen and bishop are always better. Black plays bishop takes bishop, which is a good move. White plays knight takes bishop. Because when you're 187, you discover new things about the position every single turn. Queen takes g5, and at this point, Joe's 187 brain kicked in and went, there's a queen there, which means my king is in danger, so I need to go here. No, actually, no, you don't. None of that even began to, what's the queen doing? The first thing we gotta ask ourselves is, can the queen take anything? It can, but then I take back. So no need to go here. Do I have a check in this position? Yeah, bad. Can I take anything? Yeah, free bishop. Now you gotta realize, you got backup, but Joe plays here. Safe move by Joe. And now black puts the queen back on the home square again. Black loves moving pieces out and then moving them back to the home square. I don't know what black's purpose is, but black moved the queen out and a move later goes back to the home square. Now this move is still completely crushing. It is the best move. This is even better because you get to the king and Joe plays f4. Not a bad move at all. Don't hate that move. You can't take. I don't know if Joe saw that, but he's PP on the PP here. Put pressure on the pin piece. Now black here plays a very powerful move, knight to d4, which hangs the knight to the same pawn. Also, it removes the defense of the e5 pawn, so now rook e5 is completely devastating. But Joe is a simple man, and he c-check, he play check. It's a check. You never know what can happen, right? Black has to block, or move the king. Black plays rook f7. Okay, I mean, at least black didn't move the king. A lot of people think, I'm in check, I gotta move the king. Black blocks with the rook. All right, now Joe obviously takes the rook with the bishop. You know what, Joe? You're onto something. You took a pawn with check, now you could take a knight, you could take the rook. You could also play queen h7, queen h8 is mate. All right, we took the knight. Bless, no problem. Now black blocks. It's still a game. In fact, white is only a pawn up. I mean, really, this is very complicated stuff. Bishop goes back to e2. All right, white's got a very powerful position, strong pressure here. Bishop is rotating around this way. Now black plays the very mysterious queen to b8. 17 seconds spent on that move. I would love to get into the brain of a 166 and see what neurons are firing for a move like queen to b8 to be played. Because it does nothing, but why did they play queen b8? I don't know. Fascinating stuff. Now, Joe plays f5. He's trying to attack the king. He doesn't realize, again, counting exercise. Black controls that 3 times, but white is still in very good shape because these pieces are out of the game. 14 pieces of material are outside of the battle just having a cigarette. All right? Pawn takes f5. All right? And now unfortunately 187 brain kicks in. White plays rook takes f5. So Joe's idea was to trade. He miscounts. And luckily, he doesn't go all in. Sometimes as a beginner, you just take everything. Joe resets and plays queen e5. And you'll notice Joe here spent 18 seconds probably questioning why he ever downloaded the chess.com app. And now he is down a full rook. But he still has attacking possibilities. The bishop could still come here. The rook still has to come here. You got to set what's called a mating net. You got to make sure the king can't escape over there. Black here plays the very powerful bishop takes c2, winning yet another pawn. Black now up 5 points of material. White plays rook d2, saving his rook. And black again moves the bishop. He couldn't move it back to the home square. Bishop f5. And now I got to give credit where it's due because Joe never let up. Joe in this position could have just fallen over and said, you know what, I'm going to lose. No, Joe attacks g4. And if we know anything about our protagonists with the black pieces, they are going to move the bishop to the home. Very close. Close but no cigar. Did not move the bishop to the home square, but moved it very, very close. Now, if you're playing white here, you got to do this. But Joe, a man of principle, a man of tunnel vision, g4, h4. Here we go. And now, officially, you are completely lost. You are completely lost here because black should move the queen and trade queens. White has no danger to the black position with no queen. The queen is a very powerful piece. Instead of that, black plays rook g7. Now white is winning. Very close. Bishop c4, rook f2. Black has to find only moves to survive. Bishop c4 swarms the king, but with his pawn threatened, Joe plays g5. And black is yet again winning if he brings his queen to help. Black plays h6, trying to fight back, and yet again, Joe has to activate his bishop and his rook. He's refusing to do so. He's not! He finds bishop c4, 20 seconds spent on this move. Absolutely clutch find. Rook f2 is basically mate. The black king completely stranded in the open. H takes g5, and Joe does not tunnel vision. He does not take back. He plays rook f2 check. Rook f2 check, he's found it. Oh my goodness, the 187! And black can only block the check until he is mated. The king has no legal moves, and this is a lesson for why you should not hide your queen in the corner of the board in a bunker. Black plays rook f7, and the game is over. Joe finds rook f7, king g8, and queen. Okay. Queen g7 was mate. Rook d7 won a bishop and then was mate. Rook g7, okay. And now Joe plays rook g6. All right, he could have taken the bishop. Rook g6, discovered check. The only move is king h7. And now Joe ends the game with queen. Okay. Okay. That's still mate next move. There's an M in the evaluation. Black literally cannot get out of checkmate at all. And what black should be doing now is getting the queen in to help. Black goes here. The idea, I guess, was to play peekaboo. That was the idea. And then you're going to go here. And you're going to go peekaboo. And then you're going to see all of this. Queen G7 is mate. Joe doesn't find it. Joe respects the threat of the queen and plays D5. He blocks the queen's vision, but this is still mate. Now, black's best hope here is to get the rook in the game, and he does. And now queen G7 is no longer possible. Instead, you have to find that check, that check, that check, or one of those checks. You can't move your rook because you're pinned. Joe, clutch again, finds bishop D3 check. Black's only king move is now moving up, and queen F6 leads to mate. Rook G8 leads to mate in a few moves, and you win the rook. And in this position, finally, Joe finds rook 2. Rook takes G6. Bishop takes, king takes. And Joe is down a bishop. Queen and bishop versus queen. He had so many chances, and unfortunately, he found none of them. This is why we always have to practice checkmates. As a beginner, you gotta drill mates in one. You have to be a killer at finding mates in one, and then you have to move on to mates in two. All right? But instead of that, Joe doesn't find it. Joe goes here. Pressure on the clock. He probably felt the nerves. And now he is, unfortunately, going to lose this game. But then Joe saw a light. And in this position, despite having a checkmate in one about 17 times, Joe got a second breath of life. He played h5. And in this position, black's queen is stuck. So black needs to bring the queen around like a car that's parked in a parking lot. Trade the queens, stop white's pawn, win the endgame with their pawns. But black is rated 166, and after h5 is played, for an inexplicable reason, black moves the king back one square to f8. That move doesn't even begin to make sense. It doesn't begin to make sense because if you have these powerful pieces and you're not in check, you shouldn't move your king. I guess black thought this was a bishop. Black goes here. Joe continues pushing. And suddenly, Joe goes from losing to equal to winning because there is no way for black to stop the pawns geometrically. The king goes to f7. And now, without even knowing it, Joseph, the new subscriber to the channel, played the best computer move. He just played h5 and h6. What looks like the most natural move in this position? h7. But h7 loses a major chunk of the advantage because the queen can stop the pawn. And if you go here trying to get it through, you might win. But if you make the wrong move, black survives. So instead of that, after playing h5 and h6, Joseph played the move queen to g7, using his pawn as an anchor for his queen. The black king completely stuck. He has to move to the back rank. Pawn to h7, and Joe made a monumental comeback in this game. Queen takes d5, he promoted a pawn, and he ladder checkmated his opponent with his 2 freshly minted queens. That was a game between 2 100 rated players. I got news for you. 100 elo is elo hell, because these guys were not even that bad. Sure, Joe had 16 misses. Sure, their accuracy was 33.1 and 27.0. But honestly, that game was pretty competitive. Both white and black missed some chances in the opening. The middle game battle was fairly even. White's endgame precision was a cut above black. There you go. Shout out to Joe. And shout out to every new member of the chess world. We all have to start somewhere, and Joe is already up to 350 rapid. So, get out of here.